The white man is going to raise his kid, take care of his kid, spend quality time with his kid. The black man is going to get you pregnant and abandon you and the kid. The white man wants a relationship that leads to marriage and family. The black man wants a situationship that leads to nothing.
$3 billion in child support. That's billion with a B. We as taxpayers are paying for this problem because many parents who aren't getting that child support have to go on government programs just to make ends meet. Tonight, we're taking you inside the child support problem to show you what it's doing to families and a new way prosecutors are tracking down deadbeats.
And just make sure you're careful, okay? I love you, baby.
Lavonda Hendrickson has been a single mom to her daughter Chantel for nearly all of her 19 years. A joy, but it hasn't been easy.
It's sad.
A lack of child support meant many nights where Lavonda didn't eat so her daughter could.
It's really hard. It really is. But after so long, you know, of course you have to deal with it.
Lavonda at times relied on food stamps to make ends meet.
When you lay down with somebody and a baby is created, that means there's two people that are responsible for this, not just the one.
Lavonda's ex-fiance Sean Everett currently owes $45,000 in child support.
Oh! Poor.
Uh-oh! What happened? What happened? I tell you what happened. The worship. That's what happened. You see, one thing you don't see with these channels that talk bad about us, when they talk about choosing, their preference is based off of skin tone, not character. Not if the man is family oriented. That, not what is his 5-year plan. None of these things. You don't see them talking about choosing the best man or going for a great guy. You don't hear these things. It's just skin tone. That's it. And when they end up doing just that, because they've been told over and over and over by their ilk that, hey, Brad is willing to do this, Brad is this, Brad is that. And then when they get with Brad and they realize Brad is the original deadbeat, it's too late. They can't even get that concept. All this, the government, child support, all this started because of Brad abandoning his children. That's what he's known for. So, what happens? You lay down with Brad. Brad knocked you up. Now you're by yourself. Who's the problem now? Are we still the problem, even though this is what you decided to do? No. You have to live with your decisions. You have to live with your choices. Unfortunately, the people who suffer in this situation are the children. But here's another thing they don't like to talk about when it comes to them, getting with the Pookster, Brad, Pookie Brad. Here's what they don't like talking about. Brad is the reason why there are 1.2 million children born out of wedlock between them and these wig wearers. He's the reason. They don't like to talk about that, though. 1.2 million. Let's go. Let's go. $45,000. $45,000.
He was a fugitive for 8 years. That is, until this man came into the picture. Meet Troy Dehart. He's Johnson County's new child support investigator, a weapon in tracking down fugitives. Dehart found and arrested Sean Everett.
Yeah, it's always a good feeling to get the ones that have thought they've gotten by with it. That may be him up there in the van. I got a $500 cash only bond.
The Johnson County prosecutor is one of the few in the state that has a law enforcement officer with arresting powers on its staff dedicated to finding deadbeat parents.
Kids are getting the short end of the stick.
We spent some time with Dehart, hot on the trail of child support fugitives. First stop, finding Matthew Andreas, wanted for failure to appear in court on child support issues. Several minutes go by, and then Andreas comes to the door.
Got the clothes put on.
Andreas is arrested and admits to our camera he owes child support.
I have a child and I'm behind. Been unemployed.
Are you going to pay your child support?
I've been paid.
Not enough. The day of this arrest, Andreas owed $45,000 in child support for one child.
Man.
Poor,
They're
poor,
stealing from
poor,
their kids,
poor.
and they're stealing from their future. And with that, it also throws a burden on us as the taxpayers.
Dehart spends hours searching the internet and digging through records, looking for clues on deadbeat parents' whereabouts. Some take months to track down, like Paul Jajuga. Why did you not show up for court?
I don't know.
Do you owe child support?
I owe a little bit, $250.
No, more like $8,000 owed as of this.
Poor, poor.
$250. Come on. You better off saying you don't know. I owe $250. I owe a light bill. That's all. I owe just a light bill. They came for you for $250. Come on. He really said that.
This August arrest, Dehart joined Johnson County in April 2013, helping capture more than 100 people. His salary is $46,000, much of it reimbursed through federal funds. Johnson County has collected more than $156,000 in child support from these 100 parents, 93 men, 7 women, since they were arrested. Why aren't other counties doing this?
I don't know why we weren't doing it to start with, but I think it's just kind of uncharted territory.
One misconception officials want to clear up, that putting deadbeats in jail keeps them from paying.
That's the corner that you've painted yourself into.
Johnson County Judge Marla Clark is...
Hold on. Before we get to the next clip, this is what I want to say. You notice for years, what did you notice about this video? Just think about it, Blackman. What have you noticed about this video? You ain't see no brothers in there. For years, they done painted the image of the black man as being the deadbeat. This is what they have painted for you. And the wig wearers are responsible for that. For years, the face of child support has been black men. Brad gets taken down, Hector gets taken down for child support, but somehow you're the face of it. Why? Because in order for them to justify their worship, they have to damage your image first. They have to say there's something wrong with you. They have to. They got to say there's something wrong with you. The problem with this, right, is that, you know, I don't know anything about child support. Never been on child support. Don't have any baby mothers, none of that. I don't know anything about that, but one thing you brothers out there have to start doing is you got to start thinking. You really got to start thinking. Stop going out there taking anything on a tizzy tour. For a few moments of pleasure, you get close to a lifetime of pain. This is crazy. This is insane. This is insane. Because no matter what happens, you have to pay that. No matter if you're unemployed, they don't care about you going through stuff. They'll tell you, hey, nobody cares. You better come up with the bread. You don't come up with the bread, they throw you in jail. That's insane. And it doesn't stop there. They throw you in jail. They take away your license to drive. They garnish your wages. When I heard this, I remember first reading about this years ago, thinking, wow, they doing all. The first thing that came to my mind, then why is brothers doing it to themselves? That was the first thing that came to my mind when I learned these things. I was like, wow, they able to do that? Why would you let them why would you give them that much power over yourself by dealing with them? That's what you're essentially doing. You're just throwing your power away. This is insane. They can literally come to your house and throw you in jail. You better not miss a beat. That's insane. That's insane. That is insane. To do, right, is go to the jail, go to the prison. He's serving time.
Speaks from prison and explains the question so many people are asking. What went wrong? Call 6 investigator Kara Kinney went behind prison walls to get his side of the story.
Carlisle, Indiana, home to Wabash Valley Correctional, a state prison. It's also home to Sean Everett. He lives behind these gates inside the minimum security camp. Everett is serving a 4-year.
Remember the brat? This the brat. He's serving state time now. Remember, they're the better option. Let's go.
Sentence for felony non-support of a dependent. That dependent, his daughter Chantel, now 19 years old. To our surprise, Everett agreed to sit down and share his side of the story.
Hi, so nice to meet you.
We wanted to know what many wonder when a child support situation reaches prison walls.
And trust me, I know. That's all she wanted. I know what y'all thinking already. That's all she really wanted.
What went wrong?
Well, getting locked up before didn't help any.
Everett has been in and out of prison throughout his daughter's life for theft and receiving stolen property.
For a long time, it was hard to find a job once you get a felony.
He says he also suffers from alcoholism.
I'm not here to make excuses.
Do you consider yourself a
That's exactly what he's making his excuses. Black men don't get these interviews. You don't get to tell your side of the story. You go straight to jail. That's the difference here. That's the difference here. They still, when they see, when Brad's in these situations, you got other Brads, you have Becky's. Hey, let's hear his side of the story. Nobody wants to hear black men when they say, "Listen, I'm not a deadbeat. I'm not a deadbeat. I just been going through stuff, and it's been tough. It's been tough out there. I'm trying, but it's been tough." Nobody wants to hear that. He don't get He doesn't get a news crew coming to his jail cell to ask him, well, what went wrong? No, he sits in there by himself, alone, as he's always been. He doesn't get this. He doesn't get to tell his side. It's just crazy. This is crazy right here. Doesn't get to have these excuses.
Maybe for part of it, from making the same mistakes over and over and being locked up earlier in her life. Yeah, I beat myself up over it a lot.
Chantel is now off at college, but the pain still lingers from her father, absent for almost all of her life.
What he did was wrong, and that he shouldn't have done it in the first place, and that he should have owned up to his responsibilities and been a real man. And it made me feel like, why am I not good enough to have the support of my father?
Do you realize what you did to your daughter?
Yeah, the same was done to me. I never knew my dad.
Everett grew up with a single mother.
And it was hard for my mom. I seen what the struggles she went through.
Yet Everett's actions caused his daughter and ex-fiance to go through those same struggles, a reality that makes Everett emotional.
Sorry. It's heart aching. I mean, it's heart wrenching. It really is. There's no way around it. You know, and you're the cause of it. You know, it's just one of them things. But I try to deal with it. You know, and hope one day I can make things right with her. You know.
Because Chantel just turned 19 last week, Everett will not accrue any new child support. However, he still has to pay the $45,000 he owes for Chantel, whose mother at times went on food stamps to make ends meet.
What do you say to people that say we are paying as taxpayers because of people like you?
I have to say they're right. I mean, you know, I'm sorry for that. You know, I truly am.
Everett failed to show up to a child support hearing in 2005 and was a wanted man until 2013 when Johnson County's investigator Troy Dehart tracked Everett down.
Anyway, we don't read. Listen. We don't care about them disparaging us anymore because more and more brothers are starting to speak up. More and more brothers is giving pushback. And you know, it's crazy. They've been saying this about us for about 50 years, 50 to 60 years, right? Yet it's only been 5 years that, and we've been quiet. That's the problem. For those 50, 60 years, we've been quiet. We've been quiet. But we only been giving them pushback for what, 5 years? Like major pushback, and they can't handle it. As long as they get the lie on us and tell and paint this description of us being deadbeats, it's fine. But the problem is when that happens, when only one side get to tell the story, that story becomes true. No, you have to hear the other side. You see, they let Brad tell his side. This is softening the blow. When he's up there saying, you know, it was tough. He's giving excuses, well, it was done to me. And you're going to have people looking at him and thinking, well, it's a tragic case, but it's a cycle that he didn't create. It was a cycle that he's seen. It's a cycle that he's only used to. Therefore, it's not his fault. But when you see black men go through the same situation, right? He has a hard time, tough, addicted, addictions, alcoholism. If you see the same thing, right? He doesn't get that. He doesn't get that, well, you've been through the same thing. Even if you've been through the same thing, it's a cycle. Those are hard to break. No, they'll tell you, no, it's your job to break the cycle. That's it. No, we're not trying to hear that. Break the cycle. You don't get the news. You don't get a news crew coming to your cell to interview you, to ask you your side. It doesn't happen like that. Doesn't happen like that at all. I've seen brothers. I've seen good brothers too. Working at a job. Relationship didn't work out. First thing she does, put him on child support. He loses his job. He loses his job. He's out finding a job. The child support builds up. When he finds a job, they telling him as soon as he got the job that he has to pay this amount of money, this certain amount of money back. He said he can't pay all that back, and it only accumulated because he was out of a job. Then they tell him, well, if you don't pay this much, and he's saying I can pay, but I can't pay this much right here, but I can pay this every month from starting off. They tell him, no, that's not good enough. So they take a man who has a job that's willing to pay. He just ran into some tough times. That's just life for some of us. He ran into some tough times. They tell him, you know what? We're putting a warrant out for your arrest. What? Then they come to his house, arrest him. He goes to jail and sometimes to state prison. And you know what the sick part of this is? You hear how he's in state prison? You see how Brad's in state prison, right? You know what the sick part is? After they put him in prison, when he gets out, that same amount of child support is the state prison, the state time doesn't diminish how much he owes, which is insane. It's insane. It's worse than actually going to state prison for a crime. Because if you go to state prison for a crime, okay, after you get out, after you do your time, come home, right? There's another way of you going back to prison if you create another crime. I mean, if you do another crime, that's the only way you might be going back to prison is if you go back to the previous lifestyle you had before. You have a chance to clean up your life. You have a chance to start from zero. It's going to be tough because now you're a felon. You're an ex-convict. It's going to be tough, but you still have a clean slate from then on to start again. It's going to be tough for you, but you got a chance. Where's the chance at if you come back home from prison and there's a chance of you going back because you still got $45,000 looming over your head. And if you don't pay that, they can put you back in prison. That's insane. That's worse than going to prison for a crime. For an actual crime. And I'm not saying that not paying your child support isn't a problem. But I'm saying if this is how I'm looking at it. Hey, listen. If I'm on child support and you put me in jail for a year or 2 years, right? That child support should get chomped down. If I got to go to child support for a year, when I come back, it should be at least $15,000 knocked off. $20,000 should be knocked off. I just spent the year of my life in prison. My freedom was taken away. And who knows what would have happened to me in prison. It's not guaranteed that I come back home from prison. I can get into a beef in there and that's it. Get sent to the upper room. You come back home from prison and that price tag is still over your head. That's just diabolical. The word diabolical is be used heavily. Heavily. You hear that word a lot, right? Even when it's not warranted, you hear that word diabolical. Oh, what she done is diabolical. Oh, this clip is diabolical. No, diabolical is this. This is really diabolical. I'm not speaking up for Brad at all. I'm talking about child support as a whole. It's just insane. That's the main part of this video was when they choose, they get these outcomes a lot with these Brads because only thing they see is skin tone. They don't care about nothing else. They don't. He can come through smelling like feet, pee, or anything. He can come through haggard, unshaven, not groomed. He could come through looking dusty. But you have to be the picture of health. You got to be groomed. You got to be, 6 feet and better. You got to make 6 figures. You got to be perfect. That's the difference. Anyway, salute. Stay in the shadows, black man. Stay in the shadows.